Hope you're doing great. And my name is Naba Zehra, and I'm your host for today. And we are happy to have you with us as our guest in the brand new series of Media Matters on Fabless. And it's our honor to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, well, before starting the questions and this whole insane conversation, I would like to inform you that this interview will be published on the website of Fabless. So you can sign up to the Fabless website and then you'll get the access to watch this interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, so shall we proceed with the questions, Sean?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So my very first question for you is that could you share some insights into your work as an architect, writer, and lecturer?
I'm no longer doing a design studio lecturer. I do still do a little bit of lecturing at Central St. Martin and the Architectural Association. I started lecturing when I was still studying to become an architect,
Yeah.
which was quite insightful because it gave me the opportunity to connect with a lot of students that weren't that far in age from me. And yeah, it was great because I had at the time I was working in practice and working as a tutor, so I was getting to see the professional aspect of architecture, but also the academic part of architecture as well. So it was quite insightful.
Okay. Well, okay. So my next question for you is that what motivates you to build a career that blends architecture, teaching, and writing?
I guess in architecture school you spend a lot of time writing, you spend a lot of time researching buildings and then comparing buildings, and I'd always been interested in writing because it's the one of the forms that we communicate our ideas and our values and our thoughts and feelings. So I just pursued that aspect of academia really. I just started writing after I was on a writing program at the Royal College of when I studied at the Royal College of Art called the New Architecture Writers.
Okay.
And during that program, I learned how to write journalistic stories, how to put together pictures, and then yeah, after I finished the program, which was during COVID, I just decided to start writing about architecture, and it's kind of snowballed off the back of that.
Okay. My next question for you is that how do you manage your teaching responsibilities at Central St. Martin's and the Architectural Association alongside your role at HTA Design LLP?
Yeah, because it's quite stressful at times having multiple jobs. I think a lot of people say that they having multiple things. Yeah, because I think a lot of people want to do multiple things, but I mean, I would recommend if you can do one thing and try and make that work for you. In my case, because the nature of the things that I'm doing are all so varied, it's quite difficult for me to work in practice and teach all under the same job and write. So that's why I've kind of broken up my different roles. I think a lot of the time I do feel as if I'm playing catch up sometimes, trying to keep up with the what's going on with things, but I think I'm doing a good job at balancing them, but it's not for the faint hearted.
Well, okay. Can I move to the next question?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so what do you find most rewarding about teaching architecture to aspiring designers?
I think one of the most rewarding things is being able to inspire the next generation. So, especially seeing when they are really passionate and energetic, but they just don't have the skills yet, being able to help nurture that growth and development is really quite rewarding because you don't know what these students may go on to do in the future. And the impact of your mentoring and teaching and support can really go a long way. So, I think for me, that's like something that's super rewarding.
Okay, well, is there any particular project shown at HTA Design LLP that holds a special place for you? And if so, then why?
I think most of the work is hard to say any particular project. I think at HTA they're really focused on community and collaboration, and these are often buzzwords that a lot of architecture practices use. But at HTA, it's something that's really important and integral into the work that they're doing. So I think for me, it's just their ethos rather than any kind of specific project. It's that caring for residents and listening to them and ensuring that their voices are heard is the thing that's super, super important. And the reason why I'm still there.
Completely agree. Well, okay. Moving to the next question, how has contributing to publications like The Guardian and Wallpaper magazine shaped your views on architecture?
I think like most industries, newspapers and magazines are there. There's a lot of tastemakers. There's a lot of people that um they essentially define what is cool or what is relevant within the industry. And I think looking at magazines such as Wallpaper, I think that's a good example of what things are important to the design industry. And for me, that was super important because the people that are writing these articles are then shaping what's important or what is of relevance. So I wanted to make sure that if I saw things that I thought were of relevance, they were also in those magazines, because people that, especially aspiring designers, if you can't see designers that look like you or from a similar background being publicized, then you soon believe that you can't be where some of these other people that don't look like you are. So for me, it's about getting that visibility and that platform, and magazines are a great way to do that.
Okay. And I also want to know that in what ways has writing for publications like The Guardian and the Wallpaper magazine influenced how you view architecture?
So I've not actually written for The Guardian. I've been published in there, so they've written stories about me, but I've not actually written for The Guardian. But when I write for Wallpaper, I think it gives the people that I'm writing about that extra level of kind of respect and legitimacy, because they can say, "Oh, we've been published in a global magazine." So I think for them it's really, really impactful, and it's something that they can show their clients. So I think that is super important. It's just that if when you get published or when other people are talking about your work, it reinforces to others that the work that they're doing is of value.
Interesting. Okay, how do you see writing and media shaping the way the public perceive and understands architecture?
I think now writing and videos more than ever are the way that people digest a lot of information. So if you want to hear about the latest architecture news or the latest design news, you're probably gonna go on one of the biggest design platforms, and you're gonna read articles, or you're gonna listen to podcasts, or you may go on social media and watch videos. So I think they have such a massive role in shaping what's important and what is part of the architectural canon. So I think now we're seeing a lot of people trying to get more involved in writing. As you know, loads of people are trying to do content creation, and we're seeing the people that have the largest followings, or the people that seem to make the most noise, are the people that everyone seems to listen to. And it goes back to that point that I mentioned about tastemakers. If you've got a large following and you're talking about specific matters, then people are going to believe those matters are important and they're things that we should be talking about.
Somewhere I do agree with your thoughts. Okay, well, what trends or changes in housing design have stood out to you during the time at HTA Design LLP?
I think now more than ever, I'm seeing the importance of community engagement in housing projects. Before, a lot of housing projects, it was more of a tick box exercise where you would say you would engage the community, but there wasn't many measurements or metrics to do that. I mean, it's still quite limited in terms of those metrics, but now we're seeing a lot of, in England anyway, local authorities holding practices accountable and ensuring that they are engaging the communities. They are doing community consultation, they are meeting community members. So it's not just something that they're saying that they're doing that isn't actually of value. They need to show, how have you listened to the community and how has that impacted this design or this combination of space. And I think that's something that I've seen change quite drastically over the last 5 years.
Well, how do your work as a professional architect and your academic role complement and influence each other?
I mean, as an architect, it's similar to a lot of design based and built environment professions. I think with being an architect, I've studied for 10 years about design, so I've got a quite good steer on design. How you may start with a concept, and from that concept, you develop that into something a bit more substantial, and then from that you're gonna try the aim always to create something tangible. And I think with that kind of skill and expertise, that helps me to understand designers when I'm writing about other work. Even if I'm writing about furniture design, I understand the idea of concept design, development, developing the ideas, doing research that will inform that development, then having different iterations, model making, and then presenting a final design. All of those processes are the same across the different design industries, whether it's furniture design, product design, graphic design. A lot of those processes are the same. So I think that ability and education allows me to write about other designers' work well.
Very great to know that. Okay, my last question for you is that what advice would you like to offer to aspiring architects who want to combine their passion for design, teaching, and writing into a meaningful career?
I think the important thing is that in academia you pursue loads of different things, and that's not to say that once you finish university that you drop them. So at university you'll do media studies to explore ways that you can represent your ideas, from software skills like Photoshop to
Wow.
working out how you can use sound as an interesting way to communicate your ideas. You spend a lot of time writing at university, writing essays, dissertations, comparisons about buildings, researching buildings. These are all skills that shouldn't just be lost just because you've left university, but these are skills that you can continue to develop. And I think that's all that I've done. All I've done is continue those skills or those areas of interest. So if you're interested in model making, when you go and practice, make sure that you say this is something that you're interested in and this is a valuable skill, because then you may be able to develop that skill further. So I think one thing I would say to students is the skills that you develop at university, you don't need to drop them. You can continue developing them. And yeah, you don't know where they can take you.
Yeah. Well, very, very great message for the for all the aspiring architects and the writers and everything you said. It was very inspiring. And yes, thank you so much for giving your precious time, Sean. It was a pleasure to take your interview. And do not forget to sign up to the Fabulous website.